Ronaldo. Oh, that's a great ball. Oh, it had to be. Haaland.
Overlap! Nketiah! He's got the big chance. He's got the big chance. And it's Salah for Liverpool.
Two teams hoping to etch their names onto that beautiful trophy, to etch their names in history. And I have the perfect lineup to discuss this final with me. Owen Hargreaves, Steven Gerrard and Joleon Lescott with me for the next hour. What a night we have to look forward to. But Stevie, you're back here for the first time since 2005. How do you feel being here at the Atatürk Stadium?
Nostalgic, I think is the word. Special memories, a wonderful arena for the final. I think we're going to see a special game tomorrow. I came here today actually to do a little bit of filming for BT. I know it's a secret, but yeah, it felt special. It felt really good. Really good memories. Obviously, we won a fantastic game, a tough game. So yeah, really special.
Obviously less nervous this time around now.
Yeah, all relaxed, neutral in between these two Man City fans. So I've got my Inter shirt on for sure.
Brilliant, love to hear that. For you, Joleon, look, this is the one that Manchester City want the most. There is a sense of calmness around the camp. Yeah. Have you spoken to any of the players? How are they feeling?
Yeah, that's the word I would use to describe the camp, the club. Calm. There's a sternly belief that it's going to happen. Hopefully that is the case. Different feel to a couple of years ago in regards to getting to this stage. And yeah, there's a lot at stake, not just the first, obviously, Champions League, but a treble as well, and to become an iconic and an immortal team.
And the fact that they've been to a final before, it didn't go their way. But I guess sometimes when you lose in sport, it can add layers. It adds that extra something to you. Are they better equipped to go all the way this time around?
It's a good question, Seema. It's tough. You know, we've been there. It's tough to lose finals, you know, with your club and with your country. It's one of the hardest things to deal with. But maybe that pain will push them forward. I think this team is a little bit stronger, a little bit more stable. This was a little bit this old Manchester City. As good as they were going forward, there were little gaps in the back. Obviously, Zinchenko in this moment there. And Kai Havertz gets the big goal. But obviously this Man City team are completely different. They don't really have any weaknesses anymore. Instead of the fullbacks, they got four centre-backs. Obviously with Haaland at the top of the pitch. But that moment will hurt. Maybe it pushes them on. But I just feel like this Pep team is different from that team.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, shortly actually, they are going to be training behind us and they're going to be gearing up for this big final. What does training and what will being out here today, Stevie, give them? What are they looking to do here?
I think it gives them an opportunity to get a feel for the stadium, for a feel for the service, get used to your touch, get a sweat on because they would have had a couple of meals today. They'll have a lot of food coming their way tomorrow when they're loading up carb-wise. And for me, I think all the work will be done. From a tactical point of view, I think they would have done all the hard work back home, privately. Tactically, Pep will drill them for the most of the week. They're on the back of a really strong performance at Wembley. They know what a final feels like. These players are very experienced now, and I agree with Joleon. You know, they look calm, they look in the zone, they look focused. I think it'll be a different outcome this time round.
But I guess now they're here, now they're in the city, they've arrived, they'll just want to get things going, won't they?
Oh, 100%. But like Stevie said, I think that the FA Cup final has helped the preparation with such a big game and what was at stake in Wembley. I think it just helps level the calmness going into this game. Listen, that they've prepared technically they're ready for this game, and now it's just a case of just tuning in emotionally.
Any conversation you have with a football fan about this final, any conversation on social media, Owen, everybody thinks that this is Man City's year, that they're going to win tomorrow night. Most people think that anyway. But does that add just that extra layer of pressure on them, and also considering they're going for the treble as well?
Well, the pressure's off for Inter. They probably, didn't even really believe they could be here. They were in an incredibly difficult group with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. So to get out of that, but this Inter team, they're cup kings. I think they won the last 7 cup finals. Yeah. They're very good in these moments. They're the underdogs. But I think they're confident being underdogs. This City team are big favourites, no question. If they play their best, like Stevie said, like they did against Man United, they'll win the game comfortably. But this Inter team are stubborn. They've got a good goalkeeper, good defence, good midfield players, and there's some great players at the top of the pitch.
And Stevie, look, we're stood here. Obviously, the stadium is empty right now. It's just under 75,000 in terms of capacity. It feels a lot smaller, but what does it actually feel like to play here in a final? What was it like?
I think it's a great place to play. It's not really intimidating, if you like. You know, the seats, even behind the goal and at the sides, are a good distance away from the pitch. The pitch is in fantastic condition. It'll be special tomorrow night when it's full. It'll certainly feel different. I'm sure both sets of supporters are really excited and ready to get behind the team. But if you think about the stage, what you need, 70,000 there watching you, perfect pitch conditions, the climate's good, it's not too hot, it's perfect to play football in. There's certainly no excuses for any team tomorrow.
Okay, well, they've wrapped up the Premier League, they've wrapped up the FA Cup, they're going for the treble. So how are they feeling? Well, Des Kelly caught up with the City camp ahead of their trip to Istanbul.
We could have celebrated 2 trophies, and you know, to have the opportunity to go for another one on Saturday is pretty special.
I think it's a mixture of feelings. We're excited. We're a bit, you know, in these days after the 2 days off, coming back again training with this feeling in the stomach. We want to arrive into the game, but yeah, very happy so far. Also celebrating what we did in FA Cup. That was great, and now focusing on the next final.
Have you played the game in your head already, or a few times yet?
No, I'm someone, you know, who can't think about it too much, or when I go home I won't think about it. I'll, you know, switch off totally from it, and when I'm here I can give everything to it. Then, you know, you're involved in it, then you kind of feel it. You haven't got that time to go home and switch off, and yeah, fully immersed in it, and it should be, I'm super excited.
Does it feel like the Holy Grail, you know, the thing you just can't reach? It's so difficult.
Well, we've not won it yet, so as long as we don't win it, these questions are gonna come back every year. Yeah. But we've been so consistent, even if we have not won it. I think in the 8 years I've been here, we've reached finals, a lot of times semi-finals, quarter-finals. So we've always been in the top 8, top 4 teams in the Champions League. We've just not won it yet, and that's the only little thing that we want to change.
I think we play very good football this season, but I think the fact that we're ending the season is the one I think we have to be most proud. But I said before, we need to do this step, the final. We need to prove ourselves that we can win the Champions League. And I said it before, I think we will move the club into a big, huge club if we're able to win.
Well, we've talked quite extensively, haven't we, about how the players will feel coming into tomorrow's big final, what they will have learnt from the last final. But from a manager's standpoint, Stephen, you've been a manager yourself, what will Pep have learned from back in 2021 when they lost out to Chelsea in that final?
Well, I think he'll have learned that he's missed a big opportunity. I don't think it helps when you're playing a team domestically from your league. You know an awful lot about each other. It has that derby feel in a final. It was always going to be a difficult final against Chelsea for both sets of players, and they come out on the wrong side of a really tight encounter. I think this time, playing a team from a different country, he knows he's got the better players, he knows he's got the better team. Tactically, we know he's a shooter. I think he'll be really focused. He knows he's done a special season, and it's just that last step that they need to go.
Yeah, it's that word again, calm. There's more of a calmness around Pep as well, if you can even associate that with him. Because normally he's quite highly strung, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously you have to be, to a certain extent, to have the level of success and continue that success that he's had and his team's had. And going into this game, I think he's learned a lot about himself. That he's talked a lot this season about wanting defensive-minded players in the defence when they're out of possession and tweaking things. I think over years we've seen the system override any individual, but I think this year now we're looking at him picking players that are unique in regards to John Stones stepping in and obviously playing with 4 centre-backs is a unique change for him. I don't think anyone would have predicted that over the last 3 seasons that Pep Guardiola would be playing with 4 centre-halves in any team.
And actually the players are just coming out onto the pitch now. We've just seen shots of Pep Guardiola there as well. And there he is right now, ahead of the big final. He's been talked about overthinking the last time, but that's not going to happen this time around, is it?
No, there'll be no tweaks, no changes. He's got his team, and what a team it is. You know, we saw the pictures there before. De Bruyne, John Stones, Bernardo Silva.
Team of stars.
Erling Haaland. You know, they've got virtually every piece of the puzzle that they need, but defensively now they're different. They're more solid. So, remarkable group of players that Pep and his staff have put together, and they just want to finish the job. You know, they're the best team in the world to watch by a country mile.
and we talk about expectations on the managers. Look, Ancelotti is regarded as the best manager when it comes to Champions League football. He's won it 4 times. Does Pep have to win it with multiple clubs to be in that conversation?
No, for me, he's already in the conversation. I think the crazy thing and the amazing thing about this game and the way the media and social media works these days is Pep Guardiola is still getting questioned about what he needs to do to be an iconic figure in the game. It's silly, it's stupid. He is the best at the moment. He's the best coach on the planet by a mile. He's done it with other clubs. He's changed systems, he's changed tactics, he's recruited well, he's solved problems, he's innovated the game, he's evolved the game. He has ticked every single box you can tick as a manager. Okay, he hasn't won the Champions League with City, but for me, even if he doesn't, which he will, I know he will eventually, even if he doesn't, he's still for me an iconic manager and he'll go down amongst the very best.
Agree with that?
100%. Like the way the game's viewed now at every tier of football in England, let alone the other countries he's played in. So yeah, he's definitely a transformer and innovator, so he's a unique coach.
He is unique. And let's have a quick word on Inzaghi as well, because it was only, a couple of months ago when we were watching Inter Milan playing, we knew his job was on the line. But he's turned things around in remarkable fashion.
Yeah, he's a good coach. He's done a great job with this group of players. They're hard to beat, and they're good in these cup finals as well. They know they're underdogs. But Inzaghi's done a magnificent job getting these guys to a final. And can they take the last step? They're underdogs, but I think they're comfortable being underdogs.
And let's not forget, he took over from Antonio Conte, who said this club don't match his ambitions. And here they are in a Champions League final. OK, well, I'll tell you something, gents. There are 2 guys that will be really happy to see Manchester City win tomorrow. Rio Ferdinand and Michael Owen. And here they are up on that platform where we'll actually be for the final as well, for part of the show. There they are, all the way up there. Gents, talk us through what you think might happen tomorrow night.
Well, listen, thank you, Simo. Listen, we're looking at these 2 teams here. Obviously, Man City are huge favourites, but we were just talking before we came on air. There's only been 1 team in the Premier League this season that have beat Man City twice, and they played exactly the same way that Inter Milan are going to play tomorrow, with 2 centre forwards, 3 in midfield, 5 at the back. That's Brentford. So that's a template to look at, isn't it, for this Inter Milan team going into this game?
Absolutely. I think Pep Guardiola is going to know that in terms of the shape and the system. I think when we look at Manchester City's shape and system, this is what we think they're going to go with. There is a question mark at the moment whether Kyle Walker's going to come through, but I think it'll be a like-for-like swap. But this is the formation when they're in possession of the ball. And, of course, this is the headline maker this season, John Stones, moving out from the inside, from in the middle of the area, Rio. And I much prefer it. Last season, there was a little bit of this, wasn't there? There was full-backs coming in and doing the job of Stones. Cancelo from the left-hand side coming in as well. But I just think that if there's a transition, if you lose the ball when a full-back is in that position, then all of a sudden you can be exploited. Whereas I think when John Stones goes in there... Exactly. And when John Stones goes in there, I just think they tighten up as a back 3, and it's a pretty solid unit then. It looks much better. And I just wonder as well, when I say that, and I stand there and think this would have been an absolutely ideal role for you to enhance your, when you were playing, to enhance your sort of game as well. And Pep Guardiola's getting the best out of all these players.
Yeah, and he's seeing certain traits in players, and he's asking the question, can you do this? And he's given the opportunity to do it. I think Rico Lewis went in there earlier from the full-back position, but then Stones has gone in there, and it's been a revelation since he's gone in there, and he's gone on again as a player, and he's brought new things to the game. But what he does do when he goes into these areas here is he solidifies that midfield area. He's obviously got a defensive mind before anything when they've got the ball, and he can then slip back into a back 4, and they look more like this when they have the ball, when they don't have the ball. So when they don't have the ball, this is more like what they look like as a team, and you think, you know what? That's hard to break down. But like you say, as soon as they get the ball and there's a transition, they switch back into that. Stones in the midfield. When he drives out of the ball, then he's asking a lot of questions of this Inter Milan team. Who's going to come to me? Who's going to jump out of your positions? And once that happens, I think that's a trigger. When someone jumps out of their positions in these areas, once Stones comes into the midfield of the pitch, he wants one of these to jump. When they do, that's when the space comes in behind them. And then the likes of Grealish, the likes of whoever, Bernardo Silva, etc., come into them positions, De Bruyne. A whole host of problems arise when someone jumps out, but you've got to bring them and entice them out.
I just wonder, when I've watched Pep Guardiola teams for a long time now, midfield is a key area. He likes to outnumber teams. The Spain teams that we used to play, they always used to have so many players. And of course, this is another situation. And I just wonder when Inter Milan take the field tomorrow, this area is going to be a very important area of the pitch, and how they prevent those penetrating passes into the likes of De Bruyne and Haaland.
Yeah, these three guys here, I'll just go over them there. They're three guys who are very good with the ball, and they're comfortable taking the ball. And I think once they get possession of the ball, they're good with it, and they're experienced players. But their positions off of the front two forwards is vital, and we're going to show you a couple of pictures here now. Those front two are key, but the ones behind them backing up and creating a box in the midfield area is huge. The front two work tirelessly, and there's a method to the madness. It's not just willingly. The cuts out passing lines, Dzeko there, it's cute little movements that are 1 or 2 yards, but then when they do that, that's behind. Man City, as you said, Michael, want to come through the middle of the pitch, create overloads in numbers, but they go man for man at times. They smother the midfield area and would rather you always go outside or wide or over the press, and they're very good at this.
Yeah, and they're good at creating that box in the midfield area with their two strikers. But a lot of people think it's an attacking way of playing, and it is having two strikers, but they don't have to do a lot of work as well for the team, and they get numbers into the midfield there. And we saw just a few seconds ago the way they will go man-to-man as well right at the start. But that box in midfield is absolutely key, the numbers that they get to prevent those balls into forward areas.
And that's what they're saying there. Another example here, go around us. You're not going to come through the middle of us where we know you're strong, where we know that you want the ability to get to the likes of Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne. You're going to have to go over or around us, and here, the front two again, getting inside, blocking shots, blocking passes, and them lines through the transition, through the middle areas of the pitch, an area that they're going to have to work hard tomorrow, Manchester City, if they're going to get through that area.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say City are going to have most of the possession, and Inter Milan are going to be on the counter-attack, but it's just interesting how they're going to prevent that overload in midfield tomorrow, Seema.
Thank you very much, gents. Interesting stuff. And yes, it looks like that midfield will be key in determining who comes out on top tomorrow night. OK, it's time for a quick break, after which we'll continue our build-up to the huge final here in Istanbul tomorrow night. And don't forget, that's only one part of a few days of live sport. Don't both of the Jameses just look like they have had the best season ever? They're just constantly on holiday in Milan. They are, aren't they? But look, let's talk about Inter Milan, because defensively, as the gents suggested, defensively, they've been brilliant. 8 clean sheets in 12 Champions League games. What has impressed you most about them?
Just the organisation. When you talk about defence, it's not solely the defenders. They defend from the front. They revert back into a compact, well-organised system. And over the years, that's probably the formation and the setup that's frustrated Pep and Manchester City the most. The guys touched on Brentford, also Spurs, who on a one-game basis have probably caused Manchester City the most frustration and the most pain in regards to taking points away from them. So this isn't a foregone conclusion that City are going to dictate the outcome of this game just because they're so impressive with the ball. These guys and this team are so organised and equally as enjoyable playing the way, the style that they adopt as Man City are as well.
Yeah, and as the guys were saying earlier, out of possession, what they revert to a back five, they play with wing backs. That's a big part of their setup. They have a clear identity. You know what you're going to get, Owen.
Yeah, and we just saw Onan in the picture there. What a fabulous goalkeeper he is.
Brilliant.
You know, he's brilliant with his feet, great shot stopper. You know, James touched on the 3 centre backs who are terrific. Bastoni, the left sided one, good young player, good on the ball. Acerbi, you know, with his experience in there. And Darmian's played great in that back three. But the midfield three as well, they're all little ball players. Retouched on it. They can play when they get it. But at the top of the pitch with Martinez and Dzeko, they've got a threat as well. So it's a well-constructed team. They play to their strengths. They won't have much of the ball, probably 30-35% possession. But they're finding a way to win these knockout games. 7 wins in a row in cup finals. Tells you all you need to know.
Now, Stevie, we were actually stood here watching them training earlier on. That footage was from just a few minutes ago. What did you notice? Anything stand out for you?
They done more than I thought they were going to do. I think on days like this, it's normally a warm-up, a stretch, you know, get a bit of a sweat on some small possessions at best. They had a tournament, if you like, a goal and off type of game, 8v8 v8. It was intense. The tackles were flying in. But what I would say is they look sharp, they look ready.
They seem loose, didn't they, Stevie?
They look loose, they look like they were in control, they were calm. And, you know, in knockout football, anything can happen. I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for cup football. That's a fact. You know, from a Premier League point of view, I didn't win the Premier League. I won a lot of cups, knockout games, and being in a dressing room in a one-off game against any opponent, you've always got that boxer's puncher's chance. Yeah. And that's what Inter have got. I've been in a similar situation to Inter. We used to look across to AC Milan before the ball was kicked and go, wow, world-class players.
That was a World 11 in 2005.
It was a World
wasn't it?
11. They were all probably operating in the top 30 footballers in world football. They had Carlo Ancelotti, who was a born winner. So you're massive underdogs. But in cup football...
Stevie's
sorry,
hurting
boys.
me. Yeah, he's hurting me. Yeah, this is like... this is
Joe, listen, I fancy City. I fancy City to get it done, whatever way it takes. But in the inter-dressing room, as you say, there was a nice piece there from both Jameses, and they said, like, City are obsessed because that many people are talking about it and there's that much pressure on them. For Inter, they can relax and go into this with nothing to lose and just give it everything they've got, and it might be enough.
Yeah, Inter Milan deserve to be in this position of the competition, and they'll genuinely believe. I was lucky enough to speak to Edin early in the week, and they genuinely believe they're going to cause enough problems to win this game. So, I think if it was a case of two legs, I'd be more confident that City will get enough opportunities to score enough goals to go through. But in a one-off game, you just need a little bit of luck, and it's better to be lucky than good.
Well, key to unlocking Inter's defence will be a certain star City man, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. He caught up with Rio Ferdinand and Michael Owen earlier on this afternoon.
Thank you for coming and joining us, Kevin. Before we start, I have to just touch on one thing, and you can clarify this for me. Michael, since we got with this interview with him, we knew it was coming. He's not stopped telling me that you loved him as a young player. You looked up to him. Can you just confirm that for us, please?
Yeah, that's true.
You're never going to be a defender, was it, Rio?
I was hoping you'd say no.
On to serious matters. Kevin, first of all, we all debate. We've been debating since we've been out here. This Manchester City team, one of the great teams visually that we've seen. Do you feel as a player that winning the Champions League almost makes this team complete?
Well, I feel it's the final step that we've not took yet. I'm not that kind of person who compares these teams. You know, I just enjoy seeing good football, and to be honest, like, it's been an incredible 8 years, and we've won so many things, played so good football. So I'm happy I'm part of the process, and you know, it's very enjoyable to play football this way for me. So yeah, that's it.
You say that you've been here 8 years, Kevin. You've been like some fabulous moments. Where would you rank this team in those 8 years that you've been here?
Oh, it's so hard, you know. Obviously, I think in the end people will compare it on what you win. I think playing style, okay, 1 year is maybe a little bit better than the other one, but I don't even know how to compare when we had 100 points to having a domestic treble. And imagine if we could win tomorrow. Like, how do you compare it? Like, at least I can say, like, I've been able to be in all these teams and so many good players. So, you know, that's it.
Does winning the Premier League and the FA Cup so far add to the pressure in terms of now it's the treble, or does it help you? It gives you confidence going into this match?
I feel it puts the pressure a little bit away for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think we should just take this game and enjoy it. You know, we've had an incredible season no matter what happens, and hopefully we can begin relaxed at the game tomorrow and just try and play our football that we can do, and yeah, hopefully win the game.
How has your manager Pep been this week? I mean, he's obviously got the experience of winning the treble when he's at Barcelona. Yeah. This is something that you guys are on the cusp of doing. How's that experience? Has he given you any pointers this week to calm the nerves, etc.?
To be fair, I don't feel like there's been a lot of difference. I think after the FA Cup we had 2 days off, so it's just a little bit of relaxed time, and then we had two days, Tuesday and Wednesday, where we did more tactically, physically, and I feel like yesterday we had a little bit of a down day, and today you can't do too much anyway. So I feel like it's been a pretty normal week in comparison with with everything that is happening. But I think that's the thing. No, if you keep it as normal as possible, it doesn't feel too weird.
And a lot of people make a lot of, certainly we do, that when Pep tweaks this system, when he brings a new thing seemingly every season, how hard is it as a player to adapt to this new way? Obviously, it's the John Stones role this season has changed a little bit with City. How hard is it to adapt as a team?
Sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes it goes like this. And I would say this year it took a little bit of time. I think he was also looking for maybe the personnel who could play, and I think it started basically more after New Year, where he did it. I think he started it with Rico playing these games against Liverpool and Leeds and Everton, and he did really well. And then obviously John came in, and he was unbelievable. So he made that position his own, I would say.
Your relationship with Erling Haaland since he's been here, 52 goals in 52 games, you've contributed massively to that. How has that relationship been with you, and was that easy, that connection? It just happened like that because of the quality between you?
Well, from my side, it felt easy. I think he's so hungry for goals. He's so willing to make runs. And for me, if I have a striker that runs and who's ready to score a goal, I get options. And the more options I have, the more I'm going to try and find these guys. But yeah, it's been incredible. He came into the league and just took it by storm, scored so many goals and helped us to where we are now.
Brilliant. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for your time. Good luck tomorrow. This is where legends are made, and I'm sure you've got a right chance of being one of those.
Well done, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, I really sense from that conversation with Kevin De Bruyne that they're really trying to normalise things ahead of this big final, which is, I guess, what you'd normally do. But there is nothing normal about that man there that you can see in shot. The players are actually training behind us as we speak. The conversation about the best midfielders in the world, where does he sit for you, Stevie?
Right up there, if not the best. I know there's a debate and a conversation, and I'm sure fans around the world would back their own men if they're lucky enough to have a world-class midfielder. But I watch him, I love watching him play. I think Pep's built this team around him. He's complemented really well with having Rodri there, so he can just be an attacker. He can get in the box. Every time he turns, he's got great options with Haaland running on the shoulder. He makes special things happen. He's got incredible vision. He's a good mover. Every attribute you need as an attacking midfielder, he ticks all the boxes. So for me, he's either the best or he's in the shout to be one of two.
Does he have to win the Champions League to be considered a great?
No, he's already a great. I think, he's a player's player. All players that have played know that he's the best right now. Whether it's him or Luka Modric, depends on what you prefer. But he's just... He's one of those players, he's always in space. The great players always find space. And obviously with John Stones coming into midfield, it allows him to find a little pocket of space where he can find that killer pass, which is the best.
I think there's different types, Owen, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yourself, you were more of a six. You were, out of possession. You'd win possession back. You'd break it up. You were great at using the ball. Modric is different. He's a connector.
Yeah.
He's a connector. He connects different places. He can run the speed, the tempo of a game. If you're talking about an out-and-out attacking midfielder who gets judged on assists and goals and changing games at important moments, Kevin De Bruyne is number one.
There you saw just there Pep Guardiola looking in on his players. We've got to talk about Erling Haaland as well, because he was actually brought in, wasn't he, to help City get over the line in this competition. We heard Rio with the stat earlier on, 52 in 52 appearances. It's just staggering.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Obviously, the question is going to be, can he maintain that level over his career? Never mind his time at City. Who says no? Who's going to argue with that? Because he's not scoring a number of goals that you go in. That's unachievable. Like, his positioning, his instinct in the box is unique. I think that's what sets him apart from most. But yeah, he's came into the team, and I think what he's done, he's created an opportunity for, like Kevin touched on, for them to put in balls in areas that defenders can't defend, but only he can reach. I think if you reference the Dortmund goal, there was a goal against United and the one against Southampton later on in the season, that there are opportunities only for Erling Haaland. There are opportunities for Alvarez or anyone else in the league. It's a case of, I can put the ball in an area that his athleticism allows him to get there. So I think that's what separates him from a lot of strikers.
As a former player, captain, as a manager, ever seen a player like him before?
No, I think he's an outlier, isn't he, in terms of football, in terms of body shape, his movements. He's a freak in a real good way. As a midfielder, he would be a dream, because as a midfielder who likes to play with number 9s that run on the shoulder, the likes of Michael Owen, Fernando Torres, who I played with. For Kevin De Bruyne, he would have been absolutely delighted when he walked in the door, because Kevin De Bruyne knows my assist ratio is going to go up. I'm going to have an option every time I turn in the space. For a number 8 or a number 10, he's an attacking midfielder's dream.
Actually, although the conversation has largely been about Haaland because he's been a revelation, you looked at all those players that we just saw in shot, all of them behind us. You can't really fault any of them, can you?
No, I mean, fabulous players, brilliant coaches, as Stevie mentioned, great mentality, great camaraderie. Just feels like the perfect phase for this group. They're ready for this.
I don't think you've ever been able to question any individual, but I think at this moment in time they're all playing at their best.
Yeah.
I think they're all in at the level where they believe they're going to go on to win, and that's what allows you to have an opportunity to win a treble. I think if there was 2 or 3 players playing at their best, which we've seen in previous seasons, you may 7 or 8 of them, and also the defensive side of it is so unique. So that's what puts you in positions like this.
They all complement each other so well as well. He's got the right pieces in the right places, and I think the best sign of it all is Phil Foden can't get in the starting 11, because for me he's going to be the best player in the country. For me, he's a phenomenal little footballer with incredible talent, ability, balance. If he can't get in the 11, it shows how strong this City team are, because for me he walks into any other team probably in European football.
He's going to be the best footballer in the country. What does he need to do to get there?
Time, experience, more games, more education off Pep. Watching Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, all these players that have been there and already done it. He's in a fantastic position to keep learning off them all. But I'm thinking of any team in Europe now that Phil Foden wouldn't walk into the 11.
Yeah, I think he would have stayed in the team if he was stayed fit. I think his injury came at a bad time. If you look at his stats, which is what everyone looks at and compares people, this is probably his second best goal scoring season. I think he's on 15 goals. I think his best is 16. So in regards to his output, he's still contributing, but I think his injury came at a time where just coincided with Jack then playing well, and all of a sudden.
Do you think this is the difference now, Jolie? And you watch City obviously a lot more than myself. Is this the difference now that the squad, player for player, the ones that are coming in when he's resting players, when he's changing the team, there's just no weakness,
there's no
drop off.
No, there's no way, and I think they've felt that for a period of time, but now you can see. I think even when Alvarez comes in and Haaland doesn't play,
Mahrez, what a player he is. I mean, he starts pretty much for everyone, doesn't he?
There's no weakness in this team.
Who plays a reserve goalie in an FA Cup final? I mean, where else does that happen? I think that shows that
he played great, didn't he?
Yeah. And he played great, and he's fantastic because, I mean, obviously Ederson's better, but the confidence and belief he's got in these players now, he's built this squad. It's a Pep team, it's a Pep squad, and there's very little weakness in there.
Yeah, they are unstoppable, aren't they? Well, we'll continue talking about this incredible group of players straight after the break, and actually the football